You're listening to The Pete Shepard Show.
Hey, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to a shortened version edition today of the Pete Shepard Show. I'll get into that and explain why, but we're still going to update you on, wow, what a weekend in the world of sports and entertainment. It is Monday, July 29th. Can you believe it? Thanks for checking out the show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for following us today on the video platform. Twitter X, follow me at pshep326 on Facebook and SR1029thegame.com. You can download everything. Ion TV, we are powered by them. CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. You can text today at 727-858-6650. Not going to be a long show today. Unfortunately, executive producer Angel Martinez and host extraordinaire as well, dealing with some major domestic issues, and I mean water heater issues. Apparently, it is not good, and he's been up most of the night sweeping water away, and hopefully we'll get that done. But he cannot join us today, which means I cannot play. We can't play a lot of the sound, the technical, a lot of the stuff that she is a genius at. We have to do it from his end in Tampa, but he will be back on hopefully with me tomorrow. In fact, I expect that the repairs are happening today, but what a mess. We've all been there. I think a lot of us have been there when the water cooler blows up or won't stop leaking, and he's been pushing water around this house all night. So, Angel and Debbie, we wish you all the best today. Anywho, so just a quick update. As most of you know, I want to say, Elaine and I, Peanut Gallery and I want to thank everybody for all the thoughts and prayers and well wishes. Our beautiful Scotty Terrier, Chara, passed away Thursday at 4 p.m. very peacefully. We were with her, obviously, and it was just time. She was suffering. All her organs had shut down. It's amazing that she made it a couple days with us. So we had a couple of good last days with her, and then last Thursday, right after the show, she was actually doing pretty well. I was like, oh my God, I think I mentioned it on the air. She started to, she was good, and then all of a sudden it took a turn for the worst around noontime. So we had to take her. And I want to thank once again everybody at the Florida Veterinary Referral Center in Estero, at Coconut Point, that area. I cannot stress enough how awesome, incredible the staff was there. All the three doctors, the three veterinarian doctors that took care of her over the last few days of her life, and also all the technicians, and everybody was just over the top friendly and supportive and calm, cool, and collected. It was really something. So again, praises to the Florida Veterinary Referral Center in Estero. All the doctors and techs and everybody were just absolutely terrific. So she's in a better place. We have a night. We already have her ashes in a beautiful black marble urn. It kind of looks like her body for an urn, the way she was. And we have a little some pictures, and our neighbors sent some wonderful gifts to us, Rainbow Bridge poem and whatnot. And I put some stuff out. So thanks to all our friends, especially our neighbors next door, Andrea and Mike and Kim and Rob across the street as well, for their continued support and everything else. And all our other neighbors, Jeff across the street, Jeff and Sandy next door, and whom my friend Jeff and Christy and all their children next door as well. I forgot Andrew for Mike and Andrea. So and all the kids. And that's just our adjacent neighbors, but we've had some calls and texts from other people as well. So thanks, everybody. Thanks to Angel and Debbie for all their support, and all my friends on social media. I cannot stress enough how beautiful some of your comments were. And obviously, I can't get back to 1,000 plus people. I can't get back to everybody. Just know that we have read all of your messages and are very moved at all your thoughts and prayers and kind messages about Chara. So, okay, so there it is. There's the update. Tomorrow, hopefully, is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, as Mr. Claude Rains said one time in Casablanca. And that means hopefully Chris Landry is going to be joining me tomorrow from 7:15 to 7:45, and that'll be the case every single Tuesday. We're just locking down our major sponsor, which I will mention tomorrow. But Chris Landry, you can see all the stuff at LandryFootball.com, Landry.com. It's just awesome stuff. You don't want to miss it. He's a football guru when it comes to college football and the NFL. So I'll just leave it there. We're going to talk about everything because college football is getting ready. August 24th. We are less than a month away from week 0 in college football. Think about that. Less than a month away and really getting close to what's going on in the NFL regular season. The Hall of Fame game is this week, right? This is Thursday, I think. Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. So we've got NFL exhibition football right away. And we have, like I said, it's going to be a short show today because Angel has all the videos and all the sound. I can't do any of that from my end. Unfortunately, we're working on that. And I'm working on that this week as well. But we'll be back in, I'm hoping we will be full force tomorrow with Chris Landry and other guests as well. So if you want to text the show, please feel free. 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. We'll do a little baseball rundown a little bit later on, and I'll do the Red Sox report as well, brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Yankees this week. We'll do all the scores, so we'll run down for you. Well, the big news again happened at the end of last week when after the show on Thursday, and then of course I couldn't be on the air on Friday. But let's start with quarterback contracts, which I told you. Once Trevor Lawrence signed, it was just a matter of time about Tua and Jordan Love. I wasn't so sure about. The one person who is smiling big time right now is Dak Prescott. But let's start with Jordan Love. And this happened on Thursday. He signs a 4-year, $220 million contract extension with Green Bay, included a $75 million signing bonus. And whether you think he's ready for that or not, that, unfortunately, kids, is what the market is paying at this moment. That's just where we are. And not too long after that, on Friday, Tua, and yesterday, thanked the Dolphins for showing him the money. Tua yesterday, or on Friday, signs a 4-year, $212.4 million extension with the Dolphins. The deal makes him the highest paid player in franchise history and the 5th highest in NFL history in average annual salary. In the news conference after practice, the 50-year quarterback said he understands that with this new paycheck, there's also the expectation of making deep postseason runs. Yes. Or as Ben Parker said, the Uncle Ben Parker for Spider-Man, as he said to Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. Oh, so touching. Yeah, same thing with these 2 quarterbacks, with Tua Tagovailoa and Jordan Love. And if that puts in perspective, I think Dan Marino, over the course of his career, only made $50 million over his career. Oh my goodness! So those are the 2 big stories for a few days ago. The big story that came out yesterday with the Dallas Cowboys, it came out last night. Todd Archer does a great job of reporting it for the Dallas Cowboys. They suffered a devastating blow yesterday as their star defensive pass rusher Sam Williams suffered a torn ACL in his left knee. So in case this happened last night, he also suffered a partial MCL tear, and the injuries have ended his season before it began. So he was injured during the special teams portion of practice. How many times do we see this? Williams was injured during the special teams portion of practice after he was engaged in a blocking drill. He remained down for several minutes. He was attended to by the Cowboys medical staff. He could not put any weight at all on his left leg. He got in a cart, taken to the locker room. After practice, owner and GM Jerry Jones said, quote, "We don't like what we saw." Sure. The Cowboys were banking on Williams being a major part of their pass rush behind DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. And in free agency, Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler Jr. joined former defensive coordinator Dan Quinn with the Washington Commanders. They combined for 11.5 sacks last year. Williams had 8.5 sacks his first two NFL seasons. He was third on the team in sacks with 4.5 in 2023, but he played just 28.3% of the snaps on defense. The Cowboys chose Williams in the second round in the draft a couple of years ago out of Ole Miss. And they selected Marshawn Kneeland in the second round this year and have been impressed with his early work in camp as well. So Mike McCarthy said that. Cowboys have Viliami Fehoko Jr., Tyrus Wheat, Gerald Johnson as full-time defensive ends at camp, but they did not record a sack last year. Chauncey Golston can play and tackle, had 1.5 sacks as well. See, as Kevin Costner said in Major League or in Bull Durham about strikeouts are fascist. Sometimes sacks can be fascist too. You know why? Because sacks aren't everything. Because just because one or two guys that you count on for quote unquote sack stats don't get them, that doesn't mean the defensive line isn't doing their job. That just means that somebody's being double teamed, or another player who, whether it's a defensive lineman or sometimes even a linebacker, gets free. It also makes your secondary better. So sacks don't necessarily define exactly what a defensive line is all about 100% of the time. They're nice, but just because this team or that team doesn't have a whole bunch of them doesn't mean that they're not playing well defensively. So there's that. So Sam Williams lost for the year with a torn ACL for the Dallas Cowboys. Tua with a big contract. Jordan Love with a big contract. And anybody's thoughts on that, feel free. Thank you, Paul. Says Girl Pete. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Paul Kelly, our big sales manager. And we got some big things on the horizon here that we're really looking forward to. So thanks, Paul. Appreciate all your support. And you had a birthday over the weekend too, or last Thursday. From last Thursday when we took Chara to now, it's been sort of a blur. Rick said, does Steve Kerr know that Jason Tatum is on his team? Well, here's the thing, and kudos to the Olympic team. I was going to get to that. But again, thanks, Paul. Thanks everybody for all the kind words. Does anybody even know the Olympics are going on? I mean, really, does anybody know? I mean, United States beat Serbia yesterday, 110-84. The Celtics that stood out in that game was Drew Holiday. He had 15 points, played really well defensively. I haven't seen the box score. They didn't watch 1 minute of it. They had $5 in shekels on it, minus 12, 110-84. They win by 26 yesterday over Serbia. I don't know. Is anybody watching the Olympics? Now, YouTube TV is doing a great job. They got a bunch of quad boxes up, all different sports. But I got to tell you, as much as I love, my heritage, Italy, and of course the United States, I'm not sitting there watching water polo at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm just not. There's just so many sports. I just don't care. I really don't. I mean, I want the basketball team to win. Some part of me really wants them to lose because some of the ego, some of the things have been said. But ho hum, I'm not going out of my way to watch the Olympics in France because of the time difference and everything else. I don't know. You gymnasts out there, you fans out there about Simone Biles. I mean, she's always great to watch. She's one of the greatest athletes ever in this country. But ping pong and if I want to watch real ping pong, I'll watch Forrest Gump again and fast forward to those scenes. I mean, I like ping pong. I like playing ping pong. It doesn't do anything for me watching it. I mean, these guys and girls, they're unbelievable. And the girls' table tennis team, did you hear this? They challenged Kevin Durant over the weekend that they could skunk him in ping pong. He said no. So I don't know if they're going to play. But KD yesterday was awesome. Was very good. 17 minutes where he had 23 points, a bunch of three-pointers. I don't care that the United States beat Serbia by 26. They probably should have won by 40. I haven't even seen the box score. The Olympics, they do not do it for me. It is football season as far as I'm concerned. And, college and NFL, that's where it's at. And if you win some medals in the Olympics, that's great. If not, I mean, there's a breakdancing category this year, right? Whatever it's called. People spinning on their heads, people that we saw in the late 70s and early 80s, used to see them do that all over the country. They didn't get any medals. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand some of these events. And I'm not watching them either. like I said, at least from my perspective, YouTube TV doing a great job. They got a bunch of quad boxes with different sports up and everything else. And I put it on yesterday for about 90 seconds. I'm like, no, 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 no interest, zero. But that's just me. I know in the Winter Olympics, I check in at time to time, obviously about the hockey teams. I love watching Olympic hockey. Um, I know figure skating is big for a lot of women and men, for that matter. Um, you know, only if something crazy is going on will I watch it. And I don't mean Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding crazy. I mean just whatever. And then some skiing, and that's it. And downhill skiing. I don't like slalom. Slalom bores me. I like downhill skiing when they come flying over these hills. It's crazy. Rick says I was at SeaWorld yesterday watching synchronized dolphins doing flips. Couldn't say for metal, sir. Couldn't stay for metal. No, yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Synchronized swimming, synchronized diving, synchronized diving. I have some respect. I just can't. I can't sit there and watch it. Who's watching that? It's just, the Sunday afternoon. I'll tell you what we did yesterday. Peanut Gallery and I went to see at 11 o'clock. We went to an early show yesterday at 11 o'clock in the morning. Went to see um, a Deadpool and Wolverine. It was awesome, funny as hell. Again, rated R. I reckon you do not want little kids seeing this movie. I cannot stress that enough. This is not about. They swear more in this movie than at the end than Scarface in general. And there's more mofo's and other stuff out there. The dialogue is absolutely hysterical. Ryan Reynolds is just, as you say in Massachusetts, just a pisser. He's just so freaking funny. I mean, they were making fun of Fox, all these little idiot stuff about how Marvel had to take, they ripped Fox for not getting them the rights and everything. It was just all these little read between the lines stuff that Ryan Reynolds was doing. Not only before the movie started, but afterwards. It is absolutely hysterical. They do a right before the movie comes on, it starts. And by the way, I don't know if it's like this around the country. I've been to a lot of movie theaters in my life and I've seen a lot of preview shows, two, three, four, five even. I counted. There were 10 total previews yesterday for the 11 o'clock show at Gulf Coast Center in Fort Myers at the Regal Cinema, which is a beautiful theater down here. 10. That's not the movie theater's fault. That's the. I think because people are not going to the movies as much, because this particular movie actually was supposed to come out on Hulu and only Hulu. It was supposed to be Hulu oriented, but they changed it a few weeks ago or a few months ago, obviously. And also, it was originally. I found this out too. The movie originally was supposed to be called Deadpool and Friend, but because Ryan Reynolds took so much shit, and they were about Mark because they wanted Hugh Jackman's name in it, and they wanted the Wolverine character in it because he's so well known. So they changed it to Deadpool and Wolverine, and they come on right before the movie. They have most movie theaters have those little commercials to tell you to shut your cell phone off. Well, these two come on in costume, uh, you know, uh, via the movie right before the movie starts, and they start giving you a lecture, a very adult themed, colorful metaphor lecture about why you need to shut your phone off. I was dying. I mean, it was really, really funny. But that is not a movie you want to take little kids to see. The fight scenes are incredible. I mean, it's there's so much blood that you just get used to it after a while. So there's decapitations. There's everything you would expect for this type of movie, which is why it's rated R. And some surprises that I will not give away, and some interesting cameos by people. And it may not be what you think, but it's quite funny. Kind of ties in a little bit to the Avengers, a little bit to the X-Men as well. But overall, for you nerds out there, even if you're not a nerd like me or you're not a Marvel, this movie is funny. We needed some laughter after what we went through over the last week, and it was it was absolutely hysterical. It's exactly what I expected, even more. But the shots that they throw at executives from other companies during the movie, you have to be quick. You have to understand what they went through with the rights and all that stuff, but very, very funny. And you have to stay to the very, very end. There's one scene halfway through the credits, and then there's another scene at the very end. So you do yourself a favor, stay the extra 3 or 4 minutes, and watch both empty credits. So that's what you want. You want to see that. 727-858-6650 is the number to call. 727-858-6050. Also been watching. I hadn't watched this. This was Angel's recommendation. I was going to watch it anyway because anything Bryan Cranston does is awesome. And I know it's through 2 seasons, but we just binge watched. We're at the end of the first season of Your Honor, or The Honor by with Bryan Cranston, and it is just it's excellent, spectacular, excellent. So there's my little entertainment update for you as well. Again, the phone number 727-858-6650 if you want to call or text. Other NFL news, not good news yesterday. Again, last night. This was right before Sam Williams went down with the ACL injury. Found out about Mike Reese, my good friend who covers the Patriots in Foxborough. He reporting defensive tackle Christian Barmore was diagnosed with blood clots over the weekend. He's being treated at Mass General Brigham. In a statement, the team said its principal concern at the time is Christian's health and well-being, while noting there's no timetable for his return. So his agent, Nicole Lynn, also thanked Patriots athletic trainer Jim Whalen, quote, for his absolute diligence and care over the last couple of days. Remember, you guys, remember 4 years ago in 2019, David Andrews missed the whole season. Longtime center David Andrews missed the season after being diagnosed with blood clots. He returned to play in 2020. He's 32 now. He enters his 10th season with the team this year. I can't believe it. Barmore, who he just turned 25 this past Sunday. He's in his 4th season with the Patriots. He's been a fantastic player, second-round pick out of Alabama. And they signed him to a 4-year contract extension back in April with a max value of $92 million, including $41.8 million guaranteed money. He's 6'5", 315 pounds, a native of Philadelphia, as Angel Martinez knows. He's played in 44 regular season games, 11 starts, totaling 133 tackles, 12.5 sacks, and 9 pass deflections. He's coming off a season in which he led the Patriots with 8.5 sacks and total 13 tackles for a loss. He was emerging into an all-around lineman who had gained the trust of coaches to both stop the run and pass in his career. He's projected to start next to 8-year veteran Dave Godchaux this season. So with Barmore out for a bit, the Patriots now see services from that group includes veterans Armon Watts, Daniel Akulali, and some younger players, Jeremiah Farms Jr., Sam Roberts, Tristan Hill, and Josiah Brunson. So not a good day for defensive linemen yesterday in the NFL. Sam Williams suffers a torn ACL, and Christian Barmore has blood clots for the Patriots. So not a good day there. What else is going on in the NFL? Jerry Jones talking out both sides of his mouth about Dak Prescott over the weekend. It's just, I don't know how you Cowboy fans take him seriously at all. The guy is a total cartoon character. He talked about Dak basically needing to get out of the first round, blah, 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 Jerry speak. And then he goes on to say what a great leader he is. It's the same old nonsense. Meanwhile, Indianapolis coach Jim Irsay, he attended yesterday's training camp practice, first public appearance since December. He spoke to reporters for more than 10 minutes during the practice, saying he's still rehabbing after major lower body surgery that is preventing him from walking. The coach released a statement back in January that said Irsay was being treated for a severe respiratory illness. A week later, a police report surfaced that Irsay had been found unresponsive back at his home on December 8th, following what authorities described as a suspected overdose. According to the police report, Irsay received a dose of naloxone, naloxone, a medicine used to reverse the effects of an opiate overdose before paramedics transported him to the hospital. Irsay, who had spoken about the history of his addiction, most of the painkillers, has never acknowledged an overdose occurred. In a phone interview back at ESPN in April, he said, quote, "I've had some episodes in my past. It's natural that people's minds can run away and exaggerate." So there's that as far as Jim Irsay goes. The Olympic team, as I said, won. Is anybody? I saw a little video of Celine Dion. Said one of the great appearances of her career. I know she's battling her own illnesses as well, which is why she looks so thin. And it's not, from what I'm told, it's not nothing to do with being bulimic or anorexic. It's just it's it's a disease that she has. She works on it, but I do not know. Um, I guess during the opening ceremony, she sang one song. She was paid $2 million, by the way, to sing that song. Um, in France, Joel Embiid chose to play for the United States over France at the Paris Olympics, so they booed the hell out of him. So they're upset with that. There's some hope for French fans because Victor Wembanyama was there. Rudy Gobert got to play, but he also had the option of playing for Cameroon, but was knocked out early during the qualification process, and that left the U.S., where he also received a U.S. passport in 2022. I guess the big story in the Olympics has to do with, where is it? With the Sudan team, right? The Sudan basketball team, which won over Spain, didn't they? I think they won over Spain. Huge upset. That's a team that almost beat the United States a couple of weeks ago in exhibition play. They won by a point. But that's a nice feel good story there as well. But other than that, I mean, here's you look. Jason Tatum didn't play yesterday against Serbia for whatever. The stuff with Jaylen Brown going on and this other nonsense about conspiracy theories by Steve Kerr. I think a lot of this stuff has just been absolutely misinterpreted. I wish Jaylen Brown was on it. Part of me wishes he was, and part of me wishes he wasn't. I'm glad he's not. I want, because then they already have three people on it. Myself, except Tatum, they have Derek White and Drew Holiday. That's a lot of basketball after winning the NBA championship this year. Then you got to play in the Olympics, and camp is right around the corner. It's not that far away. That's a lot of basketball for those guys. So Joe Mazzulla is going to have a lot to do. You talk about game management and all that stuff, which I hate to see, but in this case, you have Olympians, three of them from the Celtics that are on that team. That's a lot of basketball in a short period of time. So I don't, that the fact that Steve Kerr chose not to play Jason Tatum in a meaningless game against Serbia, that doesn't bother me at all. But this I feel like there's just misinterpretation about what's being said because Jaylen Brown and Steve Kerr um, have been not on the same page, and I don't know if it's because they're just not. I don't think they're listening to one another. I really don't. I think this conspiracy theory. I don't think Steve Kerr called conspiracy theories or talked about it, but I think Jaylen Brown misinterpreted it. Look, I mean, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, they both give you, I mean, you want to go overall basketball talent. Yeah, Jaylen Brown probably has a slight edge. But for the Olympic team, at this particular time, against the teams that they have to play, maybe Derek White because of his offensive rebounding and rebounding in general. And he's still a damn good shooter. He plays excellent defense. I mean, it's like 6-1, half a dozen of the other. I just don't get it. If you're a Celtics fan and you're upset about this, you're way overthinking it. I don't think there's a lot here at all. I just don't. I just don't want my guys to get hurt because training camp is right around the corner. All right, here's what we're going to do. Going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back, and we'll do a baseball rundown. I'm not going to be with you too much longer today because I can't play any sound or any video without Angel. And he's placed, unfortunately, is under a mini flood watch right now. And poor guy and Debbie, they're pushing water all over the place. And I hope, and I'm sure it's going to be fine once they get that going. Once their repair crew comes in later on today. And like I said, tomorrow we're hoping to start first of many shows with the one and only Chris Landry every Tuesday from 7:15 to 7:45. It's going to be First and 10 with Chris Landry on the Pete Shepard Show, sponsored by, as soon as we get it, official, which hopefully is going to come later today or early tomorrow morning. And then we will all be on track. It's going to be great. So looking forward to speaking with Chris every Tuesday. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, and he's going to be one of yours too. And if you don't know who he is, just check him out at LandryFootball.com. Fantastic. All right, quick break here on the Pete Shepard Show, and when we come back, we'll have a baseball rundown and a whole lot more, all coming up on a Monday, 7/29 edition of the Pete Shepard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Shepard Show.
Boom! Look at me being all technical. That song by Eric Carmen. All by myself. That's me. Everybody, how are you this morning? It is a Monday, 7/29. Be leaving a couple more days for July. My sister Andrea, her birthday is tomorrow as well. So, sis, if you're listening, you're catching up to me, baby. Yeah, she's great. She's a wonderful nurse, mother of 3, and her husband George, great. They've been married a long time, but. Anywho, thanks everybody again. Welcome back to the Pete Shepard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for following me on Twitter at PShep326, at Twitter X, on Facebook at SR1029thegame.com, at ION-TV. We are powered by powerful Jedi's. They are ION-TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and you can text the show today at 727-858-6650. Going to spend another 20 minutes with you or so. And then call it a day for today because I need Angel to have all the sound. That, in case you don't know, and all the video, he does all that stuff from his house in Tampa, and he's good when dealing with flood issues at his house because the stupid water heater exploded, for lack of a better word. Not exploded, but it's leaking, and it's I think we've all been there before, and it's a mess when that happens. So hopefully Angel and Debbie get that underway, and hopefully tomorrow we will have Chris Landry on with me at 7:15 to 7:45. As it'll be 1st and 10 with Chris Landry on the Pete Shepard Show. We're going to do it every Tuesday. We're just waiting to lock down our major sponsor, and then it is going to be fantastic. So we will keep you apprised of that. 727-858-6650. That is the number to call. So as long as I got some other news to tell you about as well. But let's get to what happened yesterday. Let's do the Red Sox report, which we usually do at 8:15, but we're going to do it earlier today because I'm not going to be on past 8 o'clock today. The Red Sox report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastow, New Hampshire. So check them out. Won a few poker tournaments in my time in Plastow, New Hampshire. And a lot of fun playing there back in the day. All right, so here's a Red Sox report. In case you missed, they've lost 2 out of 3 now to the Yankees, unfortunately. Carlos Rodon pitched into the 7th last night. Gleyber Torres hit a 2-run single, and the Yankees 3-run first, and they beat the Red Sox 8-2 on Sunday night to win a series for just the second time in their last 12 tries. The Yankees took the final 2 games of the 3-game set after blowing a late lead in the opener on Friday, and the Red Sox blew it on Saturday. New York is 12-23 still after opening 50-22. Jazz Chisholm Jr. batted 5th. He went 1 for 5 with a single, played center field at his Yankees debut after they acquired him from Miami for 3 minor leaguers on Saturday. He also stole a base and scored late. Rob Refsnyder and Connor Wong opened the 4th with consecutive homers for the Red Sox, who have lost 7 of 9 since the All-Star break. Yeah, it was 4-2. They had a chance at him in on 3rd, I think, with less than 2 outs, and couldn't get him in when they made it 4-3. Aaron Judge has been on a tear. Had an RBI single for the Yankees after reaching base at career high 6 times, and an 11-8 10-inning comeback on Saturday. He homered each of the first 2 games of the series. Rodon now 11-7. He gave up a couple of runs and 5 hits and 6 1/3. So the thing with him is you got to get to him early. I think the boys on ESPN mentioned it last night. If you looked at his numbers as I did before the game, you got to get to him early because he gets one of those guys that gets stronger and stronger. And they did get to him fairly early. They needed that. I think if they had gotten that run in and made it 4-3, things might have been different. They might have had a chance to knock him out of the game. But instead they didn't, and he ends up going 6 1/3. Struck out 7 and walked 1. And he's held opponents to 3 or fewer runs in 17 of the 22 starts this year. Oswaldo Cabrera added a 2-run double that broke it open against former Yankee reliever Greg Weissert in the 8th inning. Alex Verdugo opened the game with a double against All-Star Tanner Houck, who's 8-7. He's been one of the best pitchers on the team this year for the Red Sox. Scored on Judge's single inside first base. Austin Wells hit a ground rule double before Torres singled to right. Just wasn't a great night for him. As far as the Red Sox go in the trainer's room after the game, Cora said first baseman Tristan Casas will start a rehab assignment Tuesday with a AAA blister. He's been sidelined since mid-April with a rib strain. And for the Yankees, Aaron Boone said slugger Giancarlo Stanton is in line to be activated from the injured list today in Philadelphia. He hasn't played since straining his left hamstring while running on the bases on June 22nd. Isn't it frustrating for baseball fans when you see all these other sports, particularly football and hockey, and even basketball, because you're running up and down the floor, and then you get guys who are running the bases and have hamstring strains, and it's not that they don't stretch or anything before the games, because they do. Most of them do. Well, they all do to a degree, but I'm blown away sometimes at baseball players and hamstring injuries running the bases. Amazing. So up next for the Red Sox, Nick Pivetta tonight, 4-7 with a 4.05 ERA, slated to start the first of three at Fenway against Seattle. Right-handed pitcher Logan Gilbert, who's 6-6 with a 2.72 scheduled starter for the Mariners. And as you're looking right now at the standings in Major League Baseball, and particularly the wild card right now, again, the Red Sox report was brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their three locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastown, New Hampshire. Right now, it is still the Yankees, Minnesota, and Kansas City. Kansas City has a one-game lead over the Red Sox and a game-and-a-half lead over Seattle. So this is a huge series for the Red Sox coming up as well. Red Sox are a game behind Kansas City, the final wild card spot, and just 2 behind to Minnesota, and they're only 3.5 behind the Yankees for the top spot. So they're still in it, not only for the wild card spot, but still for the division. They're still right there. They also got catcher Danny Jansen the other day. Blue Jays shipped him to the Red Sox as they're looking again for that wild card spot. He's headed to the A's. He's headed to the Red Sox from the Blue Jays, and they get high A infielder Carter Coffey and double A infielder Edinson Polino and rookie ball starter pitcher Gilberto Batista. So Jansen, he's 29 years old, free agent at the end of the year. 61 games this season. He's batting .212 with a .369 on base percentage, 6 homers, 369 OPS, 6 home runs, and 13 additional extra base hits. So not really, but hopefully, you never know. Change of scenery. Red Sox are the team acquiring Jansen. Is somewhat curious. They have only they have one catcher right now, Connor Wong, obviously, who's doing very well. He entered the game with a 121 OPS over his last 77, and Reese McGuire, the backup, conversely, has struggled at the plate. We're offering some value as a receiver. But anyway, there you have it. There is your update there for the Red Sox. And they also got Paxton the other day as well. That was last week. That was a good pickup from the Dodgers, getting him. He was 8-2. He had an ERA over 4, but that's the kind of move they needed to make. Let me see. 727. Apologize if you're trying to text. I can't. Rick says, hopefully the Phillies get back on track and rip the Yankees a new one. Well, yeah. And doing a little bit of a baseball rundown from yesterday. The other scores, and the Phillies lost yesterday to the Guardians. Let's go. The Rays over the Reds 2-1, and the Rays are in full sell mode. Phillies losing to the Guardians 4-3. It was the Orioles beating the Padres 8-6. Blue Jays over the Rangers 7-3. Braves over the Mets 9-2. Twins blanked the Tigers 5-0. You had the Cubs over the Royals 7-3. Dodgers over the Astros 6-2. The Brewers over the Marlins 6-2. Mariners over the White Sox 6-3. Cardinals over the Nationals 4-3. Giants beat the Rockies 5-4. Angels over the A's 8-6. It was the Pirates over the Diamondbacks 6-5. And last night, as we told you, the Yankees over the Red Sox 8-2. But guys, how about there were some absolute bombs hit this week, particularly by the Yankees, a couple by the Red Sox. But my goodness, that one by Aaron Judge the other night where it hit the back. I've not seen a ball hit like that. I remember Jim Rice, rookie year in 1975. And I still remember, was it Kirk Gowdy who was doing the play-by-play? I just remember watching the game, and then I remember once in a while, this is 75, they play the highlights. And I was only 8 years old, but it was my first year really, really into the Red Sox. Actually, I shouldn't say that. When I was 7, the 74 team, I remember the 85, but the 75 team was special. That was the World Series team that lost to the Reds. But I remember it was a Kirk Gowdy. I forget who was doing the Red Sox, but they played it on the local news that night when I was living in Rhode Island. And Rice hit a bomb. I remember watching it. I can't remember. I want to say it was against Detroit at Fenway. And I just remember Kirk Gowdy, somebody said, "Over the American League flag and out of here. Home run Rice." And it was an absolute bomb. The one that Aaron Judge hit the other day at Fenway, I don't think I've ever seen a ball hit the back of the monster like that, where he hit that in the deepest part. Is absolute bomb. And what Shohei Ohtani did for the Dodgers in Houston, I believe it was Friday night or Saturday. That home run he hit was like 475 feet in right field. And what's his name? The announcer goes, "I can't see it, but I know it's gone." And it was way, way gone in Houston. That was just an absolute bomb. Absolute bomb. Didn't get a chance to talk about it a lot last Thursday or Friday. Well, Thursday we did. Friday was the end of the Big Ten and the ACC media weeks. They ended. And then meanwhile, the other day, a couple of days ago, the NCAA and plaintiffs filed on Friday, as we were talking about, a long-form agreement to settle a multi-billion-dollar class action lawsuit that paves the way for a new revenue-sharing model and governance that introduces roster size limits and nil regulation in major college athletics. The 100-page agreement filed in the Northern District of California provides more details on terms of the settlement, which involves 3 class action lawsuits, most notably the House versus the NCAA. The newest and most consequential details include roster size limits beginning with the 2025-26 seasons, which were determined by Power Conference commissioners earlier this week, and unlimited scholarships in all sports. The agreement also sets the stage to share up to 22% of total revenue to future athletes. Let's make your computer just glitched on me. To future athletes, and the establishment of a clearinghouse to help govern name, image, and likeness deals. So schools will also have flexibility in sharing scholarships, with all sports now labeled as equivalency sports, quote unquote, allowing for partial scholarships to be distributed to players in football and basketball. Those sports were previously tabbed as head count sports, which required players to be on full scholarship. So football rosters will be limited to 105 players, resulting in as many as 20 additional scholarships beyond the current scholarship restrictions, which was 85. And with unlimited scholarships, baseball teams will be able to provide as many as 34 scholarships to players, an increase from the 11.7 equivalency among 27 players allowed today. Softball will jump from 12 to 25. Former athletes will be paid $2.78 billion in back payments over the next 10 years. The new structure for revenue sharing with future players will be capped at 22% of the average total revenue generated at schools in 8 categories reported in the NCAA membership financial reporting system. Those revenue categories include ticket sales and media rights. That should amount to nearly $22 million annually, which will increase 4% annually, with further reevaluations built in after the first, fourth, and seventh years of the 10-year payment. And should the parties agree that revenues have changed substantially between those dates, a yearly evaluation is possible. So the long-form agreement also includes stricter rules on nil, though how those will be enforced still is a mystery or remain unanswered. And the NCAA and plaintiffs have yet to agree on an arbiter. Nil agreements over $600 will be subject to review by a clearinghouse to ensure they are legitimate, fair market value agreements that are not used in a pay-for-play scheme. But the 22% revenue share equates to as much as $2 billion annually among the power conferences, according to the NCAA. In addition to scholarships, meals, and academic support already provided, the NCAA says power conference schools will share nearly 50% of its athletic revenue to players. That doesn't necessarily mean all schools will provide full scholarships to all players. For example, several administrators surveyed by a CBS Sports poll this week do not expect to provide full scholarships to all 34 players on the baseball roster. The increase in scholarships are expected to add $5 to $10 million in expenses for each school as well. So basically, the NCAA is on the hook for 40% of its $2.78 billion settlement, and the remaining 60% will come from reducing its revenue distributions to the 32 Division I conferences over the next 10 years, which comes out to $1.6 billion. The Power 5 conferences, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC, will pay 24% of the overall damages, followed by the Group of 5 at 10%. The FCS is on the hook for 14%, and non-football conferences in Division I will pay 12% of the overall agreement, according to documents obtained by CBS Sports. So there you have it. Trying to think what others going on. There's some interesting things yet. What happened? Deshaun Foster, the head coach at UCLA last week, with that, whatever that was, he just kind of froze up at the stand. I don't know if the team's going to use that as motivation. I don't know. Eric Bieniemy's the offensive coordinator, but we'll watch the UCLA and Deshaun Foster. We're going to talk more, hopefully, college football and NFL tomorrow with Chris Landry as he makes his debut on the show, provided we get our big major sponsor all locked up, which I believe we will. It's going to be fantastic. And Chris will be joining me every Tuesday from 7:15 to 7:30. Let me see what else is here in the NFL before I bid you a fair adieu. As I said, well, here's an interesting thing. Story came out. The NFL will be allowed to have 12 players on the field for this one specific situation during the 2024 season. You're asking, okay, pourquoi? The addition of a 12th man is one of the wrinkles that will come with the new kickoff rule that's being implemented this year. John Hussey, referee, talked about this. The veteran ref was in Kansas City on Saturday for Chiefs training camp, and during his trip, he broke down the new kickoff rule for the media. So during the meeting, Hussey explained that one situation where a 12th man will be legal, teams will be allowed to use an extra player to serve as the holder for kickoffs during windy games where the ball won't stay on the tee. However, the catch is that the 12th man won't be able to participate in the play after holding the ball for the kicker. Hussey said, quote unquote, they can't do anything. Under the new rule, the return team will be set up with the kicker at its own 35-yard line, while his 10 teammates will be lined up at 25 yards away at the return team's 40-yard line. Every member of the coverage team has to have 1 foot on the 40-yard line until the ball is fielded or until it hits the ground in the landing zone. The kicker isn't even allowed to cross the 50 until the ball is in play. So that should give the 12th man holder plenty of time to get off the field. But there's going to be, and it just might be instinct, whatever. Watch that. That'll come into play this year at some point. Some sort of illegal formation, a tackle, something like that. It's just, I cannot, I hate the way that they've just taken special teams out of the game, kickoffs in this league. I can't stand it. That new kickoff rule, by the way, was approved in March. And right now, no one seems to know how it's going to look in the NFL. Some teams like the Chiefs are giving serious consideration to letting a position player serve as a kicker, while other teams treating it like business as usual, it's just their normal kicker handling the kickoffs. And another wrinkle, by the way, in the rule, that if a returner touches the ball while he has 1 foot outside the landing zone, then the ball will be considered out of bounds. Under the old rule, if a player touched the ball while part of his body was out of bounds and the ball was considered out of bounds and the return team was given the ball at the 40-yard line. And this happened earlier in the Steelers. They have a video, which I can't show you, from the Steelers-Baltimore game. But that is so with the landing zone starting at the return of the team's 20, this means that if a returner touches the ball with a foot on the 20.5-yard line, then the ball will be considered out of bounds and the team will get the ball at the 40. Wow. Boy, get ready for that to explode. I'm telling you. And if this sounds confusing, let's just say there's a reason the NFL needed 9.5 pages. 9.5 pages to explain this rule. Hussey said they have no idea what to expect. Quote, are they going to kick a line drive? Are they going to pooch the ball into the 20? Are they going to keep 2 receivers back, move a 10th person up? Lots they don't know. The rule will be on display first time ever in a few days on Thursday night. That's the first exhibition game / Hall of Fame game when the Bears Chicago Bears meet the Texans in the Hall of Fame game in Canton. And I'm looking forward to it because I think you're going to see a lot. Obviously, Caleb Williams, he's going to play some. There's no question. The new kickoff rule is being used on a one-year trial. And if teams don't like it, then the NFL can simply dump it after the 2024 season. But if it proves to be popular, then the NFL can permanently implement it starting in 2020. I can tell you right now, I don't like it. I don't like it. As my good friend Dave always likes to say, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Nothing about it. It's going to be controversial. Imagine your foot at the 20-yard line and goes over by a millimeter and you're out of bounds now at the 40. I mean, I think it is disaster written all over it. By the way, normally we play a lot of sound for you and stuff. It would normally be brought to you by Total Sports Prep. So for the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combs through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. The sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them at info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. All right, everybody. Let's see. Any new Michael? Michael. Hi, Michael Pasqua. Good morning. Good morning, Michael. How are you? My friend I met off the comedy club about 3 weeks ago. We saw Billy Gardell, and him and his lovely wife. It was their anniversary. We had a really nice time, and found out he was from New Hampshire at some point, and used to listen to me back up in Boston. So, Michael, thanks for your lovely wife for checking us out. We got to get together soon. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for me today. Tomorrow. All that squared away. If not, we'll have lots of great guests. I'm sure. Anyway, Angel Martinez will be on hand as well, and we wish Angel all the best. Rick says, keep an eye on the weather down there where you are. Looks like the afternoon could be bumpy. Well, Rick, I appreciate it. And Michael says he's doing great. Thank you. And yes, Rick, we'll keep an eye on the weather every day. And this part of the year down here, pop-up thunderstorms happen all the time. It was a funky, and with the Sahara dust and everything, it's been from incredible sunrises. But, definitely the thunder boom booms are probably going to hit this afternoon around here in Southwest Florida. But wherever you are around the country and around the world, thank you so much. And again, thank you again for all the kind words concerning Chara. Really, really appreciate it, my wife and I. So thank you so much. I am Pete. I am back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks, everybody. And Rick says, yes, it was crazy in Tampa yesterday. It was a little nuts down here, too, at some point. We'll talk tomorrow at 7 a.m., everybody. Bye.